Okay, hi everybody, it's Dara, and as I promised yesterday in the raw crepe recipe video, I promised the cheese, the fluffy kind of cheese to go with the strawberries on the inside of the crepes. And this cheese could certainly, it's a non-dairy cheese made out of macadamia nuts and cashews, and it's a non-dairy cheese that after you eat it you don't feel heavy. Dairy that's been pasteurized can just causes mucus in our bodies, and it's just not easily digestible at all. So this beautiful cheese that we use for the raw crepes is so easily digestible and absolutely lovely. And the thing about it is that we're going to let it ferment itself, so it will have its own probiotics in it, which helps us to digest it better. And I am going to use a cup of cashews that have been soaked for at least 2 hours. We want to get them softer. If for some reason you can't soak them, it's okay, but it makes it creamier. We're going to blend it in a high performance blender, which can blend down anything to be really creamy. So we have macadamia nuts. We have half a cup of macadamia nuts that have been soaked, and they're raw and they're organic. And I already have 1/4 of a cup of water in my little blender. And depending on how, this cheese has a twang to it. There's 2 different kinds of cheeses. You can do a mild, sweeter cheese, in which case you wouldn't have the apple cider vinegar and the lemon that I'm about to use. But there was something so beautiful about the soft texture of the crepes and the sweetness of the strawberries and the little tang of the cheese, which does make it like a mascarpone cheese. It's not quite as the consistency is a little different, but that's okay. For this particular filling for a crepe, it has body. So it's a mascarpone kind of flavor, but it has a little more body. And I am going to put in the ingredients. I'm going to decide, yesterday what happens is I used a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And when you leave the mixture out in a glass jar, cover it with a towel, then it will start to ferment itself. It will, and it gets a little bit more sour. So I did really like it. It was a wonderful combination. I'll use a little bit of lemon juice, maybe a tablespoon of lemon juice or 2. And it kind of cuts into the fat a bit. It kind of makes it feel like, gives it lift. It gives it like a lift to the recipe. So I'm going to post the crepe recipe in the, below, so you'll be able to see that. This will be about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And that's really as easy as it is. You could add a little bit of salt if you want, always like a pinch or 2. And then that's it. You just blend it, and here we go. So if you see me, what I'm doing, maybe I cut this out because it's loud, but when a mixture is thick in the Vitamix or high performance blender, we put our hand on the edge of the Vitamix and we help the mixture to go back to being able to perform its centrifugal motion. That's what keeps it kind of sucks the mixture towards the middle, towards the blades. And when it's not going, we kind of push the mixture away from the side toward the middle. And if you have to add a little bit more water, that's totally acceptable too. And kind of give it a jigger at the bottom to let the water go down, so that you get a nice smooth consistency. But you make sure to never obviously let the rubber spatula hit the blade. That's why I keep my hand on the edge, so it can only go so far. Today, I feel like adding a tablespoon of agave. With the crepes, I served maple syrup on top, and the maple syrup and offset the twang of the cheese, but I'd like it to have a little bit of sweetness for this purpose. Wow, it's absolutely perfect. So, to be correct, it now has 2 tablespoons of agave in it, and it's got a little twang, and what we do is we take this and put it into a Pyrex, a glass dish, and cover it. You can cover it with a towel, and then leave it in a sort of warm place, not hot, overnight, and it will get a little bit of more kick to it. And I will say, to be honest with you, that this does have the texture of the mascarpone. So we can technically call this the raw vegan mascarpone for now. Yes, if in the crepe video I talked about a macadamia, a different kind of cream that I use. There's 2 different kinds, so I'm going to go ahead and make a recipe for that as well. It's more of a macadamia whipped cream where I use Irish moss, and it's a little fluffier and it doesn't have the twang. So it's good to know how to do both. So I am really excited about this. I'm going to show you how it looks. And please try and get a dehydrator and make those crepes, because they are a hit around here. We're really happy with them. So I'll show you the texture of this. Absolutely beautiful. I heard of someone using nutritional yeast. You can add a little bit of that to make it a little more cheesy, but I'm really happy with this as it is. And I like to keep things as simple as I can for you guys, because not everybody wants to soak Irish moss. Not everybody wants to use probiotics. So this is going to ferment itself. And I'll show you the other one with the Irish moss. It's a little more complicated, but this is the easiest, peasiest. So delicious. It is like mascarpone. Mascarpone is like an Italian version of our cream cheese that's a little more sour. So I'm delighted. I might have to make a crepe. Which I might show you in a minute. So happy day, everybody. Get your greens on and get your beautiful raw desserts on, especially for sweet February, and I will see you soon.